Hello again, everybody. Our friend Remy from Dutch Pagans made a very inspiring video a few days ago, and a very truthful and a very wise video. Well, all his videos were wise. He's a very wise man, but it seems to everybody that the world is falling apart, and it is. It's collapsing. The integration of natural law is being violated by everything from transhumanism to transgenderism, and there's a sense, a prevailing sense, that we're at the end times, and we are for non-pagans. The children of Abraham are finished. It's over. It's, other than in the Middle East, and I'll explain it. The only thing that will survive this change of the cycle will be paganism and Orthodox Christianity, Catholicism and Orthodox Christianity, like the Greek and Eastern Orthodox churches. Why? Because they're not grounded in the Talmudic, Second Temple rabbinical theory exposed by the likes of Calvin and Luther in the 1600s, King James, where they sought a more rabbinical Talmudic version of, well, that's what the King James Bible is. It's the Talmud of the North. You hear a lot of Protestants in America saying, "Oh, the Catholic Church is a heresy." No, the Catholic Church is the true church. It's the true Christian Church of the West. It was there first. It established canon law. Origin of Alexandria compiled the texts, and that's it. There's no way around that. You can sit there talking about all the corruption and talking about all the things that went on. And yes, it's all true. Yes, the hypocrisy of the bishops and the cardinals and the popes and all the scandal, that all went on. It's true, but doesn't change the fact the Catholic Church is the one true Christian religion. There was nothing before it except paganism. The Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church in the East will survive because of their pagan foundations. Their pagan foundations that they honor and also know they have to hold on to. That's why you see the pine cones and all the other Dionysian and other pagan symbols and statues in the Vatican. They know the foundation they were built on, and they know that that is a timeless spiritual energy that operates in cycles, and they're fully aware that we're coming to the end of a cycle. This is why the Vatican have astronomy, and they have an observatory watching the stars. They're watching cosmic cycles. They're not looking for the Star of Bethlehem. They're looking for cosmic cycles, because they know that the pagans who founded everything you have in Europe, science, philosophy, literature, everything you stand upon, including the Catholic and Orthodox churches, is pagan. In the 1700s, the Protestant Enlightenment attempted to draw a line under that and create a kind of a Presbyterian foundation for Europe. And it has to be said, and it was done with noble aims. It led to things like the abolition of slavery, and it definitely created the situation where the age of reason came in terms of general decency. There was a lot more care for the poor through religions like the Quakers and stuff like that, the Society of Friends. And it was generally well-meaning, but it was never going to last because it didn't sit upon a pagan foundation. It tried to, with its neoclassical architecture. The founding fathers of the United States were completely aware that Western civilization was a product of the pagan mind. I don't know how I can say this. There is no such thing as Judeo-Christian civilization. That's one of the greatest. There's been nothing. Okay, we had the Protestant Enlightenment to an extent as the Christian part. The Jewish part has given us nothing. Nothing. Maybe, we've got writers and artists, we have like Spinoza and people like that over the centuries, but there's been nothing in terms of the great civilizing factor within Europe. Now, this is mostly espoused by American Protestants, who are mainly soulless individuals. And if you haven't seen that now, in the wake of the assassination, the murder, or the red robbining, or whatever the fuck it was, of Charlie Kirk, and the glitzy show by Charlie is dead with a Broadway melody, this fucking funeral thing they had going on. If you can't see now that the American Presbyterians, and even a lot of Catholicism, not all of it, is completely soulless. And it's just, it's just, they're all tearing each other apart now. Different sections of the right in America are all accusing each other of being demonic and evil. And this is it. It's coming to an end. It's ending. The children of Abraham are over in the West. It's over. Except for the Orthodox Catholics, the sincere ones, and the Orthodox Eastern Christians, the sincere ones. It's over. It's gone. You have that peace agreement. The Hamas didn't get what they want, which was an extermination of all non-Muslims in the Eastern Mediterranean. They have to deal with that. And the Zionists didn't get what they wanted either. They hemmed into their little Abrahamic box. This is why I've met some very nice Israeli people over the years, and I'm not surprised that paganism is growing in Israel. I'm not surprised. It's a lot harder for paganism to return in the Arab world because they'll be instantly murdered. But doesn't surprise me one bit. And it will continue. The cycle is ending in the most spectacular manner. The way they use the term the old gods. They spoke about the old gods as if they were gone, as if they were dormant, or well, not even dormant, like they were just replaced. They never went away. The old gods and goddesses were always here, and they're still here. They just don't meddle in human affairs. They allow us, through our free will, to make mistakes. And if we make the mistakes, and we go through 1,500 years of the catastrophe of the Abrahamic and the people of the books from the Middle East, and all the holy wars and everything associated with it, that so be it. We've chosen that. They've chosen that. They'll still be there, just like the forest is still there, just like the ocean is still there, just like the seasons are still there. It's all falling apart because it's meant to fall apart. It's meant to destroy itself. The see in America now, the skepticism among the American conservative right about Israel is just remarkable to me. I mean, when I lived in America, and up until very recently, every single American parent, by default, raised their child to be slaughtered in the Middle East for Israel. Every single American child that was born was to be sacrificed in the Middle East for Israel, ultimately for oil as well. So, if the oil wasn't there, it would be a completely different thing. But by attaching the Israeli thing, Jesus, the Bible, to the petroleum thing, and here we are again, a cyclopedia thing, Ragastani, together they were able to fuse a theological rationale for dying for the oil companies. You were down for Jesus in Israel, our greatest ally. This kind of bullshit, right? Now, this is not to absolve the Arab Muslim and their society is absolutely appalling. I'm sure people are very nice there and everything, I'm sure, but Islam is appalling. And so it was Hobson's choice. Both are unappealing to the Western soul completely. And So Israel is doomed. They're not, unless they'll just they don't have that cachet that they had anymore. The Arab world is running out of oil. So what does that tell you? The God of Abraham is finished. Remember, Israel is only as sacred as long as there's oil in the desert. It's all gone. It's all going. And so the power center is shifting away from that. So this is why I'm not surprised that you have so many people believing in AI gods and worshipping the AI and all this stuff. There's also the growth of paganism is terrifying them, because there was some dingbat American conservative Christian retard who's a big commentator. He's one of these ones who says absolutely nothing, like nearly all of them. And he had a go at paganism on Instagram, a video, and it completely blew up in his face. Even people who were not pagans were saying the pagans are not the cause of America's problems. What do you want about? They were desperate to shift it across. You had Clinton apologist for decades, Naomi Wolf, deciding it's the old gods, the old demons of the Middle East. No, they were all gods before you called them demons because your real demon, the tetragrammaton of the Torah, the one who lied to the children of Israel in Gehenna that he was the real God. And they even admit that the God of the Jews was Elohim, the planet Saturn, and also was Baal, the fertility god of the East, and we all know what happened then. The covenant, they create the concept of the covenant with God. And this has been exported even to Ireland, the Ulster Covenant, and this other bullshit. It's all ending. It's all ending. They're desperately trying to justify it. They're all running into their plastic sort of like Charlie Kirk post freak show Christianity, following his wife. I'm not putting down Charlie Kirk, by the way. I'm starting to come around the idea that he was probably red robined he was probably raised to be shot that day. Some weird cult that they run. But again, if you're a Christian and you have faith, you'll be listening to this going, yeah, okay, you make a good point, Thomas, but I have faith, and that's my faith, and that's how you'd post it, Norma. Good luck to you. If you're anyway like, Sheridan, devil man, you don't really have any faith. You're just a reactionary defending a dogma. It's like when someone slags off paganism, I go, what are you on about? I just ignore them and get on. But as long as you don't start trying to imply that like Wiccans are pagans. Well, they're not. There's a nice lady that was on one of the videos, and I went to look at her site. She makes Wiccan videos. She's not a nice person, nothing against her. But you're not. Sorry, sweetheart, you're not there yet. You're on the way, but you're not there yet. But that's your path, and good luck to you. I would never deny that to you. But this is, it's like you cannot explain to people that Christianity, Catholicism and Orthodox Church came the same thing before the Great Schism. Right? That was a Roman religion that kind of was an amalgamation of the story of Jesus Christ, which probably isn't true, which was a hybridization of particularly Mithra and Dionysius, that was codified into this new cult that was very connected to the Sol Invictus cult of ancient Rome, and also the Apollonian cults and this kind of thing. And they were all fused together into this guy called Jesus, and by the Roman Church. And Greg Braden, it's harmless enough man. Doesn't bother me. He seems like a nice guy. He's not doing any harm. This he's to see him fall apart on Joe Rogan with his the Christ consciousness bullshit that all the New Agers in America come about. I have Christ consciousness, and they go on about the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas is one of the books forbidden by the Church because it's a heresy. Why? Because it tells us that Jesus Christ was a Hindu, Buddhist, New Ager who went around India with his crystals, and they don't want us to know this. No. The Gospel of Thomas is actually quite anti-non-Jewish and quite anti-woman. And Greg Braden got that handed to him on his ass. You see, the reason why all these books were left out of the Bible was because mainly there was overlap between the different books, but also many of these Jewish books were talking about how non-Jews were not human. This whole thing about it's easier for the man to go through the eye of a needle than the camel through the eye of a needle and rich man to get to heaven. I'd nearly bet money that was originally a goyim to get to heaven. And Jesus didn't like non-Christians. He called the Pharisees woman a dog. And then the Christians all go, but he accepted her. No, he accepted her after she accepted him as a follower. When she followed him and converted to Judaism on the spot, then he went to heal her sick child. Before that, she was a dog and would have remained a dog. And that's why it says quite clearly in the Gospel of Matthew, they all laughed. The apostles all laughed. He says, why should I take care of your child any more than the dogs in the street? And in the Middle East, dogs are considered lower than rats among the Semitic tribes. So you telling me that Jesus didn't love me? No, yeah, I'm telling you that Jesus didn't love you. His mission was not for you, okay? If he existed, he was a Second Temple Talmudic rabbinical rabbi who was there as a Messianic Jew to reform Judaism. He was nothing else, okay? Everything else about the light of the world and all that, that's all put in there by the Roman Church. So that's really what makes the Roman Church the true Christian church, because they invented proper Christianity. Before that, it was Second Temple Rabbinical Judaism. That's all it was, a Talmudic Rabbinical Judaism. And they just cleaned it all up. So, when people started reading, they would go, hold on a second, it says here that I'm a goyim, I'm a beast without a soul. This is my holy book. Oh, don't worry about that. That didn't really count. That's for we'll just scratch that bit out. Okay, no, they never said that. This kind of nonsense. Now, there's other symbols of it falling apart. The Church of England, the Anglican Church, has always been my favorite catastrophic Christian church. The way it's, they literally, let me say, don't be surprised if the next Archbishop of Canterbury, if it exists, is performing live abortions on the altar, dressed in a burqa. That's literally how insane that church is. And that's why lots of English Protestants are going over to Catholicism. So, but that won't last either. You have to have a real faith, or you don't have any faith. And this is why the growth of paganism is unstoppable. Because even if you're an Orthodox Christian, you're 1,000 steps closer to being a pagan than you realize. All the rites and celebrations of the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church are all from the pagan temples of Jupiter, the rites of Elysium, the sacred mysteries. It's all originally pagan. The concept of the transubstantiation would be an unbelievable heresy within Judaism. Within paganism, the concept of using magic to call down a god force into an inanimate object in order to give it magical powers, that's Christianity. Now, I know there's lots of Catholics out there going, you're trying to tell me no, it's magic. It's magic. It's fucking magic. The transubstantiation is magic. The priest calls down the spirit into the wine and the bread. It's then given to the congregation. The priest's ability to absolve sins at confession is magic. The blasting of the pagan soul away by pouring water on the baby to baptize it is magic. It's all magic. This is why the Lutherans and the Calvinists were against it. They said it was a heresy, it was paganism. Guess what? They were right. So I get people saying to me, what's a good book on becoming a pagan? There isn't any, and there never will be. Why? Because being a pagan is just being in alignment with natural law. You could have your own regional codifications and gods and goddesses and so on, Celtic, Nordic, Slavic, Magyar, Finnish, Ugaric, African, Native American, Siberian, Tengist, Semitic, Hindu, Vedic, yeah, Micronesian, Polynesian. It goes on and on and on and on and on. But ultimately, at the very core, it's a fundamental connection with the natural cycles of the universe. That everything has a cycle. That before there was nothing, there was the magic circle. That was the first religion. They understood the cycles of the moon and the sun. They understood that aligned with the migration of salmon up the rivers and so on. I have a new film coming out, and so on. Even the Christians with their harvest festivals and their, all their other festivals. Like, all your days of the week are named after pagan gods. All of them. Nearly all your Christian festivals are pagan. Okay? Does that mean you're a fool or something? No. Congratulations. The early church fathers knew that this was a good thing. You have even in the most intolerant popes like Boniface, in his letters to the Western churches, the Anglo-Saxons and what they called the Gaelic churches, he said, "Do not damage the temples of the heathens and the pagans. Remove the unclean idols and sprinkle them with holy water. These buildings are well made, and the locals are familiar with them as places of veneration, and eventually they will turn away from their old gods and embrace our one if we use the same thing." So it was like a stadium had, say, one soccer club playing, and then the soccer club folded and another one moved in. Well, people know it's a soccer stadium. People know it's a holy temple. The same thing. And I can point examples of that in Ireland. Kilmacdonough in County, it's in Clare, I think. That you can see the pagan temple where they actually reconstructed the Christian one around it to orientate it east-west. Just like they knocked the cardinal point windows into the round towers that were never originally there. And that's how Christianity had been so fantastically, Roman Christianity had been so fantastically successful. Do we know if there was genocides and murders in Ireland by the Christians on the pagans? We definitely have hints of that, like whatever St. Patrick was, this Henry Kissinger character, casting down the pagan the Crom idols at Maislett County Cavan and burning them. And also the killing of the Druids at Downpatrick Head, and then the battle with the Druid at Crosspatrick. There's lots of that kind of stuff. And what is that allegory of its war? Now, the Irish didn't convert to Christianity because they thought it was a wonderful thing. It probably took the guts of 1,000 years, and it's still not there. We still celebrate Samhain, and we still have lots of pagan things like the Puck Fair and all kinds of other things, not just in Ireland, but in the Britain and other countries as well. Because why? Because it's foundational. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we have these woke types who've moved into paganism, but they'll all be destroyed by the old gods. And some of them already have been. I mean, the concept that transgenderism is a place in paganism is completely insane. When you are born with either a male or a female soul, you reincarnate with a male or a female soul. All the reincarnation cultures tell you, from the Druids to the Hindus, that if you're a man in this life, you're a man in the next one. If you're a woman in this life, you're a woman in the next one. Because it's an expression of the duality of the universe. If you say you're non-gender or non-binary, you then have ended your ancestral soul into a void And what then is you become obsessed, you become possessed by a demon. It's as simple as that. This is why they're all unhinged. This is why it's terrifying to be around them. This is why everything like food and drink doesn't taste right around them. And they destroy the families, not because they not only destroy themselves, they destroy the entire ancestral line. Now you have this jihadist demon in Ireland running for president called Catherine Connolly, and she's determined to bring in a third gender in Ireland. That is her method of destroying Ireland, this ancestral soul. This demon is out to do that. This is why I would fully support a conservative Catholic like Maria Steen any day over that, because the natural order of things is pretty safe within Catholicism. Again, I know I sound like a bit of a pompous ass when I say this, but if you're going to be a Christian, be a Catholic, because it's the nearest thing to of all of the Christian and of all the Abrahamic religions that's in tune with the natural cycles. Remember, Islam came out of a lunar worshipping cult of Yemenites, and it only became what it was because of like internal struggles regarding Muhammad's business dealings. That's all it did. Other than that, even the Hajj is pagan. It's a fucking meteorite in that thing, and there's lots of stuff like that. They pretend they're not, but they all are. All are, and. If you look at the moon, this is why do you think that the crescent moon in the flag of Islam? It was a Yemenite lunar worshipping cult. That's what it was. And what's the star? Venus. Venus. What's that? Lucifer. Okay, that's the morning and the morning star, and it's all tied in. Catholicism was loaded this Stella Maris, the star of the sea, and all this kind of stuff. The Eastern Star, the Star of Bethlehem, and this is come on, it's all pagan, all of it, and because that's the stuff in the Gospels is not in the Jewish texts. There's nothing about it. There's very little star lore in the Jewish Toranic or Talmud texts. Very little of any. I'm not even aware of even any. The Gospels full of it, and all the later books of the Star of Bethlehem. There's all things like comets and everything else in the sky. This is, I'm telling you, this is so much more interesting than people realize. And you have all these dumbass truthers who go like, "Oh man, I love the Jesus I do, like, I love me the Jesus, and they haven't got a fucking clue. They're just as soulless as the American MAGA Christians and the rest of them. Funny enough, you never hear Trump mention Jesus Christ. He mentions God. And I have a very sneaking suspicion that he's not a Christian. He's some kind of, I don't know what, atheist or something. And you hear about, like, Steve Bannon and his great admiration for Julius Evola. I mean, Julius Evola's books are about like how Christianity made cooks of the European and made them weak, because it was deliberately given to them because it weakens them. A lot of truth to that. Now, more than anything else, the number one reason why paganism is growing is because you had this horrific murder of 2 Jewish people at a synagogue in Manchester, and then you had the fuckwit in supreme of the Manchester Protestant churches going, "The answer to this is love." No, your pagan ancestors would have skinned that motherfucker alive and buried him upside down in the bog so he wouldn't have reincarnated. Christians and their bloody turn the other cheek crap. It's finally being seen for what it is. Charlie Kirk's with it going, "I forgive them." No. You're pagan. And you see a lot of these fucking new agey pagan types say things like, "Well, Ireland was always the land of welcoming and openings because, the gates of Tara were always open to the stranger." Yeah, but if the stranger showed up in Tara with any shit, they'd cut his throat, skin him alive, and put him in the fucking bog. It was as simple as that. They weren't told, like, "Here's Tara, it's all yours, take it." Jesus Christ, it's called the Book of Invasions for a reason. Do you ever read about the fucking when I see all those filthy Palestinian flags and rainbow flags at Ushnock, and I'm reminded of the story that when the Fomorians arrived at Ushnock from across the sea and demanded taxes, possibly the Romans, that Lou and Nuada cut their throats and sent their bodies back to Britain or across the sea. There's your fucking tax, And there they all at Ushnock now with their rainbow flags and the Druidess goddesses and all these fucking wagons. And, that maggot, Michael D. Higgins. No. This is the old gods. Let me tell you something, you motherfuckers at Ushnock. The old gods will strike you down. You have meddled with a force with your rainbow flags and your fucking Palestinian flags that will defile your children, okay? And maybe the fact that half your children are transgenders and it's causing havoc in the family, maybe you've already been cursed. Maybe you've already been defiled. How about that one? Natural law motherfuckers, okay? This is what it's like. This is what we're dealing with. This is why you have to make... I'm not saying make a choice now, become a Christian or a pagan. I'm saying just watch around you and see where you belong. Do you really believe the King James Bible, with all its terrible translations in it, is the answer because it's not the book of the Catholics who are all like bigots and stuff like that, or all like pedos and stuff like that? Yeah, it's... I can guarantee you when the cycle is over, the Church of Rome will still stand. The Orthodox Church will still stand. But in the West, at the top of the summit, will be the pagan free peoples of the North and the West, determining their own spiritual path. And it'll be happening in America too as well. You will see it. It'll happen. It'll happen in Canada. It will happen all over Europe. It will happen all over Africa. Look what the Abrahamics are doing in Africa, the genocides of Christians by Muslims. Look what the Muslims are doing to the Dogon pagan tribes of Western Africa. When it's all said and done, natural law, the pendulum will swing back. Like Remy said, the circle will complete. Instead of saying, I want things, like he said, go back 200 years, we're going back 2,000 years. Why? Because the past is the future and the future is the past, because it's all a natural circle of cycles. So if I haven't offended you, think about this. Well, I haven't offended you. I mean, I haven't. I'm not putting you down because of your religion. I'm just telling you facts. And if you have faith, you'll ignore me. If you have doubts, pagans don't proselytize, so I'm not here to convert you. That's your own free will. The gods, when you're ready to hear the song of the gods in your heart, it will happen. And just look at what happened in the Middle East this week. The Abrahamics and the jihadists, the children of Abraham both failed. The Church of England, it failed. The Catholic Church is in great danger, but it won't fail. Why? Because it's built on a pagan foundation. Why? Because paganism is natural law. And that's just the end of it. Take care.